Hi everyone, Monica Moore. This edition of Ask Monica is probably one of my favorites because I get to use two hats. I get to use my nurse practitioner at Loom Fertility hat and my health coaching hat. And today we're going to be talking about BMI and BMI requirements. So BMI, or the body mass index, is one of the measures that is used to help. It uses body weight and height, and it is a simple measurement, but it is not the most effective or best measurement for health. There are a lot of other better ones, and we can get into that in another session. But why are there BMI requirements at a clinic? So some clinics have BMI requirements for surgeries or procedures, and that reason is, and that BMI requirement is really dictated by the anesthesiologist at that center. So there might be some adipose or fatty tissue that is situated or centered around the neck that can potentially cause some breathing difficulties. Those breathing difficulties are better handled at a hospital, like an institution, as opposed to a freestanding clinic, which many infertility centers are now. So the BMI requirement could differ, but under that anesthesiologist or anesthesia group's experience, this certain BMI above it might generate more problems or challenges in terms of airway management, which is the really foremost concern for anesthesiologists during retrieval. So if you go to a certain center and you are told there's a BMI requirement before you can have hysteroscopy, before you can have a retrieval, that's why. If you need help getting under that BMI requirement, which is not easy, I know as a health coach, and that's what the data shows us, we do have a lot of options at Loom to be able to help you, health coaches like me, nutritionists. Certainly you can talk to your nurse about next steps or options. BMI and why there's a requirement in terms of proceeding with a conception cycle is a little bit different. And the basis of that is that studies were drawn, these are population-based studies, meaning they compare a certain population to another population. They're not comparing that person to themselves. So population studies of people with in the high obesity categories, class 1, 2, or 3 obesity, compared to population studies or populations in the normal or overweight category in terms of BMI, show that the rates of fertility and that higher levels of BMI might be detrimental both to fertility, both to carrying a pregnancy, and maternal, or the mom, complications during that pregnancy. We are your first prenatal provider. We will end up sending you, hopefully pregnant, to your OB. So we feel that there's a responsibility in some way to send you, to help you achieve a pregnancy at your healthiest level. Again, it's not that BMI solely is saying you're healthy or not healthy for pregnancy, but if there is an excess of adipose or fatty tissue, as demonstrated by being in an elevated BMI category, that means we might need to work with you to make sure that you're metabolically or internally, and that's the part that the baby comes in contact with or interfaces, is as healthy as possible. And there's certain measures that we use for that, like blood tests, blood pressure, etc. So it is, if you exceed our BMI requirement in terms of just being able to go through a cycle, then what we would do is have you talk to a team of us and see what we can do to help you in terms of, if you're not already at a great health, achieving a better health if possible prior to that pregnancy. So I hope that's helpful. This is a very, as it should be, emotionally charged topic. Losing and even gaining weight for some people is very difficult, so we don't take this lightly, and that's why we have a dedicated team for this. If you have any questions about this, you'd like to talk to me or one of us about this or your particular circumstance, please, as always, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks so much for tuning into this edition of Ask Monica.